Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Gabe Alexander podcast with me, Gabe. Um, I just wanted to make this. I know I've been gone a very long time, so it's gonna be a quick video, no real topics, no real script. I just really need to get myself back in the habit of recording these. I stopped as soon as my first semester ended, and I was on, I guess, our winter holiday break. And I pretty much spent the majority of the time in Chicago, which was super fun, but I'm not in my house in Indiana with all this here. And then school really started back up, and it's been kind of crazy. I've been very, very, very busy. It's this semester, the second semester as a first year graduate student, at least for our program, is probably the busiest and most stressful semesters, as the second and third years have told all of us first years. So I'm in a thesis class right now. The program I'm in requires, well, it doesn't requires, but you pretty much have to do a thesis. And for my thesis, I've been doing a lot of research. I'm doing it so that I can really get into a good PhD program. And since the PhD program I want to get into is neuropsychology, I'm trying to do a very neuropsych focused thesis. So I'm a little bit out of my element, so a lot of reading, a lot of just thinking how to connect everything together. Because for theses, I think it's theses. For when someone does their thesis, they really have to either do new work or do research into areas that are lacking. And so personally, I am studying mood disorders following traumatic brain injury, more specifically concussions in athletes, and hopefully my intervention will have something to do with improving the sleep quality and hopefully improving their symptoms of depression and anxiety. Those are the two I'm focusing on. So through a sleep either study, I can find the correlation, but hopefully I can put in an intervention and to show that quality sleep really does help these symptoms. And it's really crazy. Everybody knows sleep is important, but it hasn't been researched as much as you think it would, especially in the sports field, I guess. And a new study came out that found that poor sleep quality is actually the main predictor of receiving a second or third, more than one concussion. It used to be that the biggest predictor of getting a concussion was if you had a concussion or not before. So if you had one concussion, you are more than likely to get a second one and following up. Personally, I think I've had about 3 or 4 concussions, none of them really bad. One knocked me out though. Well, no, I don't think it knocked me out. No, it didn't knock me out. I guess I just had some amnesia because I don't remember what happened after it. It's actually a really funny story. I was fighting in a tournament, and this dude was a menace, and he just kicked me so hard in the head. And that's the last thing I remember. Next thing I remember is I'm waking up on the sideline. But the reason I know I didn't get knocked out is because apparently I won the fight. I woke up on the side of the ring to hear my name being called at the podium to go get my medal. So apparently I won the fight. I don't remember how I did it. But yeah, I had some amnesia because of that. But getting back on topic, sleep quality is one of the biggest predictors of if you're going to receive a concussion again, which I think is crazy. There's a lot of studies with mood. I've been reading a lot of the literature there. The hard part, and the reason I'm doing this topic for a thesis, is because there is a relationship between concussion or traumatic brain injury, TBI, and symptoms of depression and anxiety. I'm just going to say mood disturbances, mood disorders, to not always have a mouthful of words. And there have been studies trying to find that link. So we've been looking at white matter tract disturbances, connectivity between the different lobes of your brain. There's hippocampal volume that they've been studying, pituitary function, a lot of different studies that have found promising results that show there's a correlation. But none of them can prove this is the reason. Obviously, traumatic brain injury, a lot can happen. You can hit a lot of different areas in your brain that can kind of start to not function. And mood is heavily regulated by the limbic system, which all of these studies that I've mentioned, they all work with different parts or different parts of the brain that are either active during sleep or a part of the limbic system. And so what I want to do is I want to kind of zoom out a little bit, just talk about sleep in general, because there have been a few sleep quality studies that show an improve in mood, but nothing very specific. There's just been studies that showing, if you have less REM sleep or later onset of REM latency, your emotional processing, which deals with mood, is not as good as if you have more REM sleep. There have been pharmacological small studies, like with small 1 to 3 population, that shows taking different benzodiazepines can help mood. There have been studies that have used CBTI, which is cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. They have used that therapy to improve sleep, and then in those people, their mood disturbances have gotten better. But really, I want to find a little bit, either work with a bigger population and athletes, because this hasn't been done with athletes yet, and find an intervention. Being a master's student, I can't really do anything with medications. Hopefully, maybe some therapy. I'm not sure if I want to do CBTI or something different, but I'm still figuring it all out. But that is where I've been going. So we recently had this 2-week writing challenge where we had to write for half hour, 45 minutes every day. So I was doing a lot of reading and then writing and then reading and then writing and then reading and then writing, so on and so forth. So I have about 10 pages of my lit review done, which is a sizable chunk. It's normally 15 to 30 pages, and I still have plenty to write about. So I've been working on that a lot. Additionally, outside of my thesis class, I have a practicum class, which is like a internship class, where we're learning about how to actually work with athletes and work with teams for different sports psychology sessions, whether it's more counseling based or just sport improvement based. And that has been a lot. We haven't worked with teams yet because we're still just getting started, but this class, we read so much every week. Probably the majority of my reading is for this practicum class. 60 pages a week is about average of just different textbooks and studies. I'm taking notes and really understanding, so that takes a long time. But because I am a first year, the second and third years really work with the teams here at Ball State, and hopefully as second and third years sort of phase out of this program, my group of first years, our cohort as they call it, will try to replace them or fill in. And I'm actually very excited because the group that they want me to work with is not actually a Ball State team, but it's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club here in the town of Muncie, and I'm very excited. I talked to the third year, I believe she is. She might be a second year. I don't know. Who's ever heading it up right now and working with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athletes. I've talked to her. I've worked with her in the past too, and she says as soon as these COVID restrictions light up and their sessions come back in swing fully, I'll be able to start observing and hopefully move into the position where I'm working with the team and I'm like the main guy on point with the team. I'm very excited to work, kind of in martial arts because I have a background in martial arts myself. Karate, I was on Team USA for a few years. I got to travel outside of the country and compete, representing Team USA, representing just my dojo. So I have a really good background. While karate is very different from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's more closely related than basketball. And it's funny being a sports psych student who really doesn't watch sports. I feel good sort of moving into a realm and working with athletes who will have similar experiences to myself. So I'm super excited about that. I really can't wait to start working because right now it's just been a lot of reading. Like I said, no real work yet. We're doing in this practicum class, mock presentations, how to work with a team, come with materials. So that's all been going to be very helpful. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about my thesis, even though it's hard and I feel overwhelmed. I'm excited about this practicum class. I can't wait to actually start, getting experience under my belt. And, just with all those two classes and other classes, I have projects, these presentations, bi-weekly, short papers. So it's just been a lot of work. Additionally, I'm still working as a graduate assistant And this work is busy, busy, busy this semester as well. Last semester, I wrote, well, I wrote the majority of it. I didn't wholly write it myself. I wrote 2 papers and worked trying to find a grant. Papers went well. We're trying to get them published, still making edits. But the grants, nothing really happened with the grants. But just having those 2 papers where it was very busy because I was dealing with a lot of stats and, running statistical programs, all that jazz. And but this semester, she wants 3 papers to be done. And it's a little better. They're much shorter papers, not studies, but more of a summary and talking about practical implications for nurses. So the 3 papers we're working on this semester is priapism, which is, just look it up. I'm going to keep this PG. But priapism and how to treat it, and as well as sickle cell disease complications, because she does a lot of work within that field. And then our last paper is on African American infant mortality and using what they call the life course perspective to really make sure that the infant mortality the rate of infant mortality is lowered. That's very, very high up on our priority list. And on that project itself, we actually just started a grant proposal. I guess our proposal was, the first phase of our proposal was accepted. And then we had a long meeting with one of the organizations who would fund it. It's a $50,000 grant that would go for a year-long study. So this paper that I'm working on now is once again a practice implications paper, but we just got funding. Well, we're trying to get funding, trying to finalize it for a longer longitudinal study, maybe 1 to 2 years. And that has been amazing. So I've been sitting in on grant meetings. I'm kind of on standby for her bigger team working on the grant. I help them out with anything they need. The presentations that they're going to have to prepare, I'll help with that, all while writing and working on these 3 papers. We're about halfway through the semester. I'm feeling really good. I have all the outlines and all the citations done for the papers. And, this week and next week I'll start writing. Won't be too bad, but, still busy work. But one of the more interesting things is the community reception for the African American infant mortality paper and project has gotten some community attention. So we're working with the local CEO of the YWCA, and we're going to use their facilities to hold different information sessions and really conducting a lot of the study under them or with them, partnered with them. And that has been super cool. I haven't done too much in the meetings where it's my boss, the professor I work for, and all the people who are running the grant and the YWCA CEO. But I like sitting in the little Zoom calls, bi-weekly meetings, and listening and feeling like I'm a part of it, even though I'm kind of just on standby. If anybody needs help with anything, I'm really versatile. I'll be able to help with whatever they're trying to come up with. So that's really what I've been working with this semester so far. And I feel bad I didn't get started back on the podcast earlier. I really do prioritize my time to chill. Maybe a little too much. So I've been able to enjoy, a few nights a week. And that's been great. The boys hop on Discord, play Apex. It's a super fun night. And, but I need to just get back in the habit of recording these. I want to stick to once a month, I think. I really like that flow. I didn't feel like I was barraging anybody with, go check out my podcast, go look at this and that. Once a month, not too bad. But yeah, so hopefully I'm starting to feel like I'm getting everything a little bit managed. Definitely after this week, I have a lot to do this week. After this week, I should be better, feeling good. I'll really try to pop out these podcasts once a month. And I think the rest of my time, that's a very long explanation, kind of letting you guys know what's been going on. Hopefully it's interesting to you. But I have some goals, I guess, for 2021. I know it's a little corny, but I thought I would just finish off with that, talk about that for a little bit. So one is to read more. And I'm already reading a lot. I use Audible. It's so weird to say reading when I'm listening, but you guys catch my drift. I just finished the 4th book, most recent book of the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. I think I've mentioned it before on the other podcasts, but it's so good. If you're even mildly interested in fantasy, I would. Brandon Sanderson is amazing, going to be one of the greatest writers. Like, give him more years and it could be like he could be as popular as a Tolkien, or a George R. R. Martin. I'm 100% certain of that. His books are super, super good, but he's currently writing them. So I'm finished this. I'll have to wait 2 years, like a year, 2 years before the next one comes out. But that's all right. And so before and after I listen to that, I've been still just chugging through The Wheel of Time. It's another very good fantasy series. It's like 14 books long. It's crazy. I think I'm on book 7 now. I've been listening to it for quite some time. All the audiobooks are very, very, very long, but I've been loving that. But when I say I want to read more, I actually want to just read more from like a book. I have a lot of nonfiction, as you can tell. I like to read a lot of fantasy, listen to a lot of fantasy. I want to read more nonfiction, philosophical books. I have a few. I'm looking at them right now, kind of behind the camera. There's one, How to Change Your Mind. There's, Solzhenitsyn, Dostoevsky. I just butchered the hell out of those names. But those are really good. One I've heard good things about the How to Change Your Mind. And, philosophical, the Gulag Archipelago, Notes from Underground. I really want to read those more. They're a little more philosophical, a little more challenging. But I hate stopping. Like, I know I'm only halfway through The Wheel of Time right about now, but I'd hate dropping it for such a long time to read other books. Because most of the time when I get my reading done, it's like as I'm going to go do errands, or, I'm driving up to Chicago to see Sasha, my girlfriend. So I have hours of time to just listen. Sitting down and reading, I haven't done that in years. And so I kind of want to hop back on that. That'd be super nice. And as you could tell from my terrible Russian pronunciation of those last names, I want to practice my Russian. I have been lacking severely. Not even lacking. I haven't been doing it recently. And if you guys saw my previous podcast, you guys know my girlfriend is Russian. Her whole family speaks Russian. And so I really want to be able to have a conversation with them. I mean, we talk in English a lot, but it'd be nicer, I think, in Russian. Super funny. And her uncle, she lives with her aunt and uncle right now, but her uncle, he decided one night when we were all drinking together that he's just going to only speak Russian to me, and got all of his drinking buddies and friends to only speak Russian to me. And so he's like, we're going to force you to learn it. But yeah, they're super funny. I love them. So that's something I really want to do too. And like, I felt like I was making pretty decent progress when I was doing Duolingo every day. So I just need to pick that up again. Yeah, it doesn't take much time. I don't know why I'm talking about it and not doing it. But yeah, that's something else I wanted to do. And I need to get out more. Goodness. I know COVID restrictions, all that, but my day is I'm in bed, right? As you do. I wake up. I make breakfast. I sit in my chair at my desk, work for hours. And then if I have time, I will stay sitting in my chair, hop on Discord, play some games with the boys, and then I'll go to bed. And I feel it in my back. I feel like an old man already. I'm sitting in chairs way too much. I need to get out more, do stuff, whether it's like, I don't know, working out or just getting outside, doing something else. I need to just stop sitting as much. It's really, really bad. And I can feel it in my back already from, I guess, really with COVID, over a year now of just mostly sitting. I don't understand how people can work their 9-to-5 office job for 20 years and like say like, oh no, sitting all day is fine. Like, we know sitting all day is not good and it's better to stand. That's why standing desks are more popular now. But most people are like, oh yeah, I know it's bad for me, but I'm fine. I don't feel bad. I've been working this office job. Like, man, I've been doing this for a year and I feel like a grandpa. This shit hurts. But yeah, another thing, kind of mentioned earlier, super consistent with podcasts once a month. I know. I got multiple friends who are like, I will drive down to Indiana just to record a podcast. Like, they're supporting me. I love them for that. That's super encouraging. So hopefully we'll get more people on the podcast. The one with Sasha popped off. Probably girlfriend carried. I guess you guys just don't want to listen to me. I'm not as interesting. But yeah, Sasha's podcast or the episode with Sasha did super, super well. I was super excited. Everybody loved it. Got almost 100 views, almost like 70, 80, somewhere in there. So super excited about that. I really want to keep doing this consistently to, I don't know, make that the normal, not the exception. I also, if you feel like commenting, give me some stuff to talk about. I don't want to do politics at all. I could talk about politics forever, but I don't have the energy anymore. I don't care anymore. But I love very interesting, in-depth topics. Like if you give me something to research and talk about for like an hour, I wish I could do that, and I will try to do it. I love listening to super long like video essays on YouTube about philosophy, video games, like anything. I'll listen to hour-long videos of this stuff, and that stuff inspires me, even though I don't have the skills for it right now, and wouldn't even know where to start. But stuff like that, I would feel so good being able to make that like thought provoking or just really in depth videos, long form conversation. Uh, yeah, so if anybody has any ideas, let me know. But other than that, really, not too much else is going on. It's my life right now after winter break. Winter break was super fun. Like I said, I was up in Chicago. I got to see my friends all the time because all my friends are still in Chicago. I have a few friends down here, but they're more like peers instead of friends, right? Like we talk about homework and stuff for class mostly, and so yeah, all my friends are in Chicago, so that was super duper fun. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm glad whoever came back or stuck around, you guys are still here. I would really, really appreciate it if you guys give me some likes or subscribe or even comment just to boost me in the algorithm at all, and give your ideas about other podcast topics that I could just talk on for a long time. Let me know. I would be totally down to do that. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are enjoying the rest of your day. Take care.